a week one, man. What a week one. How many of you guys are at home keeping score week by week that AEW is going to beat NXT? It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Now, I've told you guys that the ratings really don't matter to me. They don't. I look at them and I say that they don't matter to me. But it's in the news and I have to report on it and I have to give my opinion on the ratings and where they fell with whatever demographic they're in, ups and downs, week to week analysis, where NXT is, where AEW is, what you guys are thinking about the ratings in the community. But I look at the ratings and, I'm surprised. I really am, 1.4. But you got to go back to the night before Dynamite. And TNT aired something that was on TNT around 10 o'clock. I think it was like a showcase or a 1 hour pre-show type deal, getting you ready for Dynamite the next night. That drew over 600,000 people. So everybody's line of thinking was, well, if that drew 600,000 people, then AEW Dynamite itself has got to do more than 600,000 people. And the community was giving AEW a buffer at 500,000. 1.4. 1.4. Now, it's not going to be like that every single week. There's going to be fluctuations. There's going to be up and down ratings every single week. Same thing with NXT. NXT's not going to stay at 890,000. They'll peak towards that 1 million. But if they go down and it stays down and it's consistently down, then there's an issue. But I do think that AEW is going to be down, and then we can start to see things level off as far as the ratings go. I think they'll be above 1 million, but I don't think they're going to be above 1.4. I would be genuinely shocked if they're above 1.4. Now, the one thing I want to take away from the ratings is what the Observer was reporting on the day after everything went down. WWE released that statement. Jericho even made mention of that statement. Don't know why WWE made a reference to All Elite Wrestling and the Wednesday Night Wars, that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon or something like that. And Jericho actually said that WWE was embarrassed by their actions leading up to this, that they went out and tried to be the good guy in all this. They tried to be the nice guy by releasing that very respectful statement. Now, I do agree with Jericho, and this is WWE's fault, because WWE was the one who facilitated all of this. With every move that AEW did, WWE countered in some way, shape, or form. Now, AEW is not innocent here. Obviously, they're going to defend themselves, and they're going to throw cheap shots, and they're going to make a move to counter WWE's counter move to them. I understand it. I don't find any of that fun. I don't really give a shit. I don't. I find it to be hilarious that a multi-billion-dollar company in WWE, that's supposedly the biggest wrestling promotion on the planet, is scared of a t-shirt company. T-shirt company that did 1.4 in the ratings on Wednesday night and beat WWE's number one brand in the ratings. The one thing that I pinpointed was the fact that, and I said this on Off the Script on Saturday, Friday and Saturday. I went over both. But I mentioned most of it on Friday. We went into like a 50-minute rant, 50-minute breakdown analysis of what I thought of Vince McMahon and him really trying to kill NXT. Vince McMahon did all this. He facilitated all this. I guarantee you, if you put Triple H in a room and you lock the door and there's no cameras and there's no recording or anything, and you ask Triple H if he wanted to be in this war with AEW and he wanted to be live on the USA Network at 2 hours, he would probably tell you no. This is all Vince McMahon's doing. This is all Vince McMahon's fault. So when Vince McMahon facilitates all these moves for NXT and then NXT bombs, how does that make NXT look? How does that make Triple H and his work look? NXT was not bothering anybody on the WWE Network. They weren't. They were minding their own business. In fact, they still are. They're just now playing to Vince McMahon's desires. So Vince McMahon is trying to move NXT in a position that I don't think they really want to be in. Because if you really look at it, now, AEW was in front of 13,000 people on Wednesday night. And I know everybody in Stamford, Connecticut was looking at NXT, and yeah, it might have been a great wrestling show. It might have been one of the best NXT shows of the year. That was a takeover-like show on Wednesday night. But they looked at the difference between the two shows. 13,000 or 14,000, however many thousand people in the Capital One Arena, making that show a big deal. And NXT's at Full Sail in front of 500 people. And then the report in the Observer was WWE wants to pull NXT out of Full Sail. That Meltzer was getting texts from higher-ups in WWE texting him, we have to get out of this building. Now you have to get out of this building? That building has been NXT's home for 7 years. Now you want to pull them out of that building because you put them in this situation where that building is no longer useful to them. You put them in this situation where that building is now making them look inferior to AEW. Triple H has nothing but good things to say about everybody at Full Sail. They are WWE's partners in this NXT thing. Now you want to move them away from people that have been so supportive of the brand just to appease some fucking old, senile, demented old man's vision of a war. He wants to kill AEW by killing NXT in the process, and will do so by any means necessary just to kill his enemy. So yes, Jericho is correct. Yes, they're embarrassed. They are absolutely embarrassed. They knew that they fucked up. AEW didn't want a war with NXT. Guarantee you everybody in WWE, no matter who it is. Now, I don't know if this is a Triple H thing or whatnot, but you know for a fact that higher-ups and Vince McMahon were watching NXT and watching AEW at the same time. NXT and whoever was in Triple H's ear had an eye and a pulse on what AEW was doing. I guarantee you AEW didn't give two shits about NXT on that night. You know what they were worried about? They were worried about giving you a good wrestling show. They were worried about giving you the best wrestling show that they could possibly give you without any worry about what Paul is doing over at Full Sail University or what Vince McMahon is telling his son-in-law to do in just combat against AEW. It's ridiculous. Vince McMahon has put NXT in this thing as a meat shield. And this is all I'm going to say on it. Because Jericho is 100% right. And he's got a statement on it. He went into a whole rant about it. Imagine if NXT wasn't on USA Network at 2 hours. AEW did 1.4 million people. NXT did 890,000 people on Wednesday night. Now, Tony Khan mentioned that there was really no crossover. Those are all new eyes and ears that AEW had watching their show. There was really no crossover, according to Tony Khan. Not many people really at all switched back and forth. So what happened there with NXT? It's a situation where if NXT wasn't on USA Network live at 2 hours and that 890,000 people had nothing to watch on the USA Network, what would they be doing? They'd be watching AEW live on TNT. And that would bump AEW's ratings up into the low twos, the low to mid twos. That's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown territory. You think Vince McMahon wants AEW to start bleeding into his ratings territory with the main roster shows? That's a whole new can of worms right there that Vince McMahon really doesn't want. Because with the decisions that he's making and the creative blunders that he's made, a lot of them are going to come back and bite him in the ass. He can laugh all he wants about people chanting AEW at the end of Hell in a Cell. He can laugh all he wants about the fans chanting refund and restart the match and this is bullshit. Laugh! laugh. Because with every laugh that Vince McMahon echoes to his cretins in the back, his cretins in the gorilla position, with every laugh that Vince McMahon takes, he is leading the fans, basically, to leave WWE and watch AEW. Because the fans don't like their intelligence insulted anymore. They don't want to feel stupid while watching your television program. The fans are telling you what they want to see, and you're booking the show based on what you want to see, not knowing that it is the wrong thing to put on television. WWE doesn't want AEW to get into that Monday Night Raw Smackdown Live territory, so we put NXT right in the middle of it. It's like you're playing a video game. NXT is a mini-boss. AEW has to beat the mini-boss to get to the final boss. They got to beat NXT before they start getting into main roster territory. Then Vince McMahon is really going to have a fucking problem. Jericho said this because they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. I know how they work, and the fact is, I haven't seen the actual rating, but I'm assuming they know how it is, and I think we probably kicked their ass. They started this. Everything that they've done has been a reactionary move to us. We're not in a war with anybody besides ourselves. I don't care if you resurrect John and George and it's the reunion of the Beatles at the Super Bowl. All that matters is our show. You can put anything up against us and we can't compete with that. We can compete with what we are doing. They kind of started this war. And the very first night, they got destroyed. Big deal. It's our first debut. Great. But they have to come back and say it's a marathon and not a one-night sprint. Who's ever said it's a one-night sprint? It's not a war for us. Now we're placed in one and we're going to kick ass because we're going to do what we do very, very well. There's a little bit of arrogance towards us that's now gone. End quote. I don't think Jericho could have said it any better. I really don't. So when the ratings are coming out week after week after week, every Thursday, and you look at the ratings, I want you guys to make sure you are aware of what I said here. Yes, the ratings are important to Vince McMahon because he lives and dies by the ratings. He lives and dies by the ratings. I want to see someone tell me that the ratings aren't important to Vince McMahon, or I want to see someone in WWE tell me the ratings aren't important like they used to do in the past. Oh, the ratings aren't important. Oh, the ratings aren't important on this night because there's an NFL game, or there's a World Series game coming up, or there's this, or there's that. There's Survivor, and there's fucking the MTV Movie Awards, or whatever the fuck's going on. The ratings are important. Because what is Fox and what is NBC Universal going to do when the ratings aren't where they want them to be? They're going to ask Vince McMahon what's going on. They'll be important then, but they're not important when nobody's asking about them. Jericho said it best. WWE got embarrassed. So now they want to come off as the good guy. So the ratings are going to be looked at. The ratings are going to be looked at. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware. I wanted to start off with that story before I do anything on this show. That is the ratings with AEW and NXT. That's what Jericho said. Tony Khan mentioned that there was really no crossover. That AEW doubled NXT in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's their money. That's their audience. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They drew 890,000 people. And AEW drew 890,000 people in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's not crossover. Those are all new fans to AEW that are watching that show. WWE's in trouble. They don't realize what they got themselves into. We're going to go over everything AEW today, man. I wanted to start off with that. And I really wanted to nail that fact home. I know a lot of people look at me, oh, JD's being too conspiracy-like, and JD's going off on a tangent here. This is a different take. Really, nobody's taking that type of mentality towards it. You have to. You have to. Look at what Vince did at Hell in a Cell. Look at what he did at Hell in a Cell. If he doesn't give a shit about us, the people who drive his company, what do you think he's going to do to NXT? What do you think he's going to do to them? It's a shitty situation, man. It really is. Anyway, quickly. I'm JD. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. I still got no voice. My voice is shot from the weekend, whether it was doing commentary in House of Glory or I was yelling at my TV because Hell in a Cell was god-awful. I got a little bit of a voice, not much, a little bit, enough to get me through this podcast today. So bear with me. We're going to get through it all. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. That's JD from NY206 on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you guys also follow me on Patreon if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go and check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. There's plenty of it. And everything you need that's up to date, everything that is recent, you guys can check out down below in the description of this very video. And the podcast today, AEW, right here on Off the Script, is brought to you guys by my fine friends over at Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys go out there and sign up. Get your free audio book and 30 days on the house just for listening to Off the Script. All you guys have to do is use our unique link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys are going to go through the sign-up process. You're not going to be billed in any way at all. They're going to give you 30 days of their service to look around, see if you like it. And as a thank you for signing up, they're going to give you a free audiobook of your choice. The best part is, if you get your audiobook and you're browsing Audible, and you feel after a couple days, it could be day 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, it could be day 30. If you guys feel like Audible's not for you, you guys can cancel at any time in that 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. Once again, guys, great way to support the show. Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. Being that I have so much wrestling to watch, I mean, I'll tune in. I'll tune in to see what they are going to do as far as presentation goes and how they're going to really model it on their YouTube channel. But AEW has another show coming to their YouTube channel, and it's called AEW Dark. Now, this is not what you're going to find on Pornhub. This is not in the dark realms of the internet. This is AEW Dark, where they're taking the dark matches from the week's prior show, and they're airing them on Tuesday before the newest episode of AEW Dynamite. This is brilliant. It really is brilliant. Because, A, if you didn't get to see a particular talent that you like to see, more than likely they're going to be on the dark match. So AEW is giving you the Jurassic Express. AEW is giving you Britt Baker and Bea Priestley. AEW is giving you SCU and the Lucha Brothers. Private Party, the best friends. It's going to be great. It's going to be a legit show to showcase their talent so that you can brush up on who they are in the dark matches before they actually get placed in a major storyline on television. It's brilliant. I don't know why I didn't think of it for House of Glory. I think it is awesome. It really is. Now, yes, it's another, I believe, hour of wrestling or hour and a half. I don't know how long it's going to be. And I know you guys are really overwhelmed with the amount of wrestling that you already have to watch. Like I mentioned, Raw on Monday. You got WWE Backstage starting November 5th on FS1. You got this. You got the NWA. You got the Wednesday Night Wars with AEW and NXT. Impact's coming to Thursday. Smackdown on Friday. You got MLW on Saturday. Takeovers are going to be on Saturday. WWE pay-per-views are going to be on Sunday. It's just every single day. It's like the wrestling world doesn't want you to go out there and get some sun or go sit at the bar and have a plate of potato skins and a nice craft beer. Can't do that. Can't do that. And I feel sometimes, being that I do what I do, I feel like if I pull myself away from it just for a little bit, I feel bad. I feel bad because, not because I want to sit there and watch, but more so I feel like I have to make content. And if I don't make content, I'm not making you guys happy. And if I'm not making you guys happy, I'm not making money. So it really sucks. I don't want to miss anything. But the fact that there's too much makes me sometimes, honestly, not want to watch at all. Doesn't make me want to watch at all. But I think this is awesome. I think this is a great concept. And for the simple fact that you guys get to see some of your favorites on the AEW roster, they get to be built up. And you get to see them before they actually get placed in something major on television. And the funny thing is, with these dark matches, I don't know if you've ever been to an AEW show. I've been to a few now. And every time there's a pre-show, that building is filled to capacity. It's not like these WWE Dark matches or these WWE pre-show matches where the guys and the girls are wrestling in front of a 40% crowd. 40% filled to capacity. Now, this crowd during these AEW shows happened at All In, happened at All Out, happened at Double or Nothing. They are filled. Every seat is filled. And they're going to treat that just like they would the main show because they absolutely care about everything that's happening on that show. They are invested, and if not, will be invested in everything that they're doing. This is a great concept. And I don't know what else to say on top of that. I think it's a genius move. I really do. This is premiering on Tuesday. And the plan is to have a 1-hour highlight episode on TBS. The new show sounds totally different. This is another thing on top of AEW Dark. AEW Dark's coming to Tuesday. It will be hosted on AEW's YouTube page. But on top of that, they have a 1-hour highlight episode on TBS. So not only are they on the AEW YouTube channel, TNT, they're going to be on TBS as well. And they're going to be going over their show for the week on TBS. Now, AEW Dark, going back to that, will be hosted by Tony Schiavone, and it will premiere tonight. This will feature all of the matches that we did not see on Dynamite. This will bring the dark matches to everybody, which, like I said, I think is a great idea. Can't wait to see what happens, man. I'm going to see what they do for this debut episode, and I might just use it as a way to kind of take my notes and fill myself in on who these characters are and what they're doing, and if it's going to pertain to any storylines moving forward. If AEW is putting something like this on a YouTube channel, it could very well play into storylines moving forward. And it's great. It's on YouTube. It's for free. Everybody could watch it. I think it's awesome. Wednesday, Dynamite. We got AEW Dark on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we got Dynamite. Now, on Wednesday, we got Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz, and Jake Hager. They took out Cody, Dustin, and the Young Bucks. Rumors are Jericho and friends may become a permanent stable to do battle with the Elite moving forward. Now, AEW has announced, this was announced last week, that there's going to be a tag team match tomorrow night. Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Adam Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes. Based on this past Wednesday's show, it would be smart to expect lots of interference from either the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and maybe we'll see Jake Hager. We'll see what happens. Cody did a fantastic job of making Sammy, I thought, look like a major up-and-coming star in AEW. I thought that match was fantastic. It was like a pay-per-view match on TNT, and the cherry on top of the cake was that there was no commercial breaks. Now, while Adam Hangman Page and Pac's match was fine, it was very slow, it was very methodical. I do remember that Pac was kind of upset. There might have been an issue with the ropes last week. I'm not sure what happened there, but he looked very agitated because he wanted to do something off the top ropes. He either felt like the ropes were faulty or slippery or not tight enough, and he didn't do any high-risk moves after that one little spot where he was like, nope, I'm not going up there. So, a lot of people thought it was good. Randy Orton thought it was good. Some people thought it did not meet their expectations. In fact, some people thought that their last encounter over in the United Kingdom was a lot better than what we've seen on Dynamite. Now, AEW has a lot of work to do to make Adam Hangman Page seem like a bigger star. Right now, he's kind of stuck in this sea of mediocrity. I don't know what they have to do. Maybe a heel turn. Maybe they're going with the defeated babyface route, and he's going to make a valiant comeback and overcome all the odds. It's a very simple story for a babyface to tell. Maybe that's where they're going with that. He's going to lose, and then kind of see himself up on the rise going through AEW's ranks. Now, if he's able to pick up a pinfall in this match, it would be a good start to help establish him in AEW's main event scene. Now, Cody is facing Jericho at Full Gear for the AEW World Championship. It looks like the Young Bucks will be battling Santana and Ortiz at that show as well, which I've been looking forward to for a very long time. They are going to kill it. Jake Hager and Guevara. Who knows what they're doing at Full Gear? A lot of people are looking at Hager as something that's not really all that, I would say, exciting. But if you look at Hager and they use him in a proper role, I said this before, I'm going to say it again because it's just how I feel about Jake Hager. He looked great on Wednesday night. But there's really nothing there that's going to get me excited about seeing the former Jack Swagger. He was a mid-card guy at best in WWE. I don't think I've seen him really go out there and blow me away in WWE. He's not done that either, whether he was on the Independents, in Lucha Underground. I have not watched him MMA. I have not watched him in the MMA either. And from what I know and what I remember of Jake Hager, he's not someone that's really going to blow me away in any which way. Now, if they use Jake Hager in I would say, a bodyguard-like role for Chris Jericho, I think that would be a great position for him to play. I don't want Jake Hager to come on into AEW and ascend the heights and be, on the cusp of the main event. I don't look at him that way. I looked at him a certain way in WWE, and I still look at him, even though he looked great in his initial debut, I still look at him in that very same way. So if they put him with Jericho, if they're really going to make a stable out of all of this, I think Jake Hager as the bodyguard, the enforcer for this stable is a very good role for him to play. So we'll see what happens with that, but that is announced for Dynamite. We got Jericho and Sammy versus Paige and Dustin Rhodes, and then we got Private Party versus the Young Bucks in the first round of the AEW Tag Team title tournament. And then we got Jon Moxley versus Shawn Spears in a one-on-one match. This is a loaded show, guys. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I think this show is going to be a lot better than their debut episode. So I'm very excited to see what they do, especially for that Shawn Spears and Jon Moxley match, especially after what Moxley did to Omega and what Shawn Spears has been saying about Cody. And he continues going on and on and on about Moxley. Maybe we see MJF. MJF has a problem with Shawn Spears because he's taking jabs at his best friend. It's going to be a great show. Again, I am not expecting them to trump what they did ratings-wise in week one. I do see a slight decline. But as long as AEW can keep that consistency and keep you excited going into next week, I think they will be perfectly fine. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. It should be a very good show. Now with Jake Hager, obviously, like I said, the former Jack Swagger, made his pro wrestling return with AEW Dynamite last week. It was a moment a lot of fans really didn't see coming. I reported on it last week on the podcast on Tuesday, and lo and behold, we see Jake Hager on Wednesday with AEW. But it was a surprise, but a surprise that Tony Khan and AEW had been holding on to for quite some time. During the media scrum following AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan was asked about Jake Hager showing up. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of people asked about Jake Hager and a lot of people asked about Riho winning the Women's Championship. Not one person asked Tony Khan what was the referee doing in that main event that he didn't call a disqualification when Moxley interfered on Omega. Not one media individual asked that question during the media scrum with Tony Khan. Maybe they got to get JD into these things, because I would have asked it. I would have absolutely asked it. It's not a bad question to ask whatsoever. Now, a lot of people are asking me, JD, what did you think about it? I didn't really find it to be bothersome at all. I really didn't. Because Moxley was hurt. Moxley and Omega was supposed to have a match at Double or Nothing. Or at All Out, rather. He showed up at Double or Nothing, attacked Omega. He was supposed to have a match at All Out. And he didn't. So he was out. And they wanted to build excitement for the match coming up at Full Gear. I'm not going to let them get away with it the next time it happens. It was their debut episode. It was their first ever main event on TNT. I just took it as the referee wanted to be a little lenient here. They wanted a decisive outcome. They wanted a winner and they wanted a loser. and he was just going to let it go. He was just going to let it go. But the one thing, if they did think that, the one thing I would like is an explanation on commentary. And then Moxley and Omega left the ringside area anyway, and they were taken out of the match completely. So if it was 10, 15 seconds in which they battled into the crowd and left the actual match to have an actual main event, I don't see it to be a big deal. But next time, they got to cover that on commentary. So if everybody's saying, oh, well, you didn't find it to be a big deal, but if WWE did the same thing, you would have been shitting all over them. Yeah, I would. Because they constantly make the same mistakes every single time, and they expect no repercussions for it. They think you're an idiot. This is their first show. They have a little bit more leeway. I'm going to be a little bit more lenient with them. Believe me, if they start doing it on a consistent basis like WWE, I'm going to shit all over them. That's what you don't understand. Then people are complaining. I seen it on Twitter. Well, Moxley interfered in the main event on AEW and didn't cause a DQ, but WWE entered the Hell in a Cell in a DQ with Rollins and Bray Wyatt. It's not the same thing. It's not even anywhere close. I'm not even explaining that difference to you because whoever mentioned that as being a comparison is a blithering idiot. You're just starting an argument for the sake of starting an argument. Why are you even talking about pro wrestling if you're bringing that comparison to the table? You're just looking to start shit. It's not the same thing. WWE should have did one thing and they absolutely ruined fucking 16 other things with that one thing that they should have did. This is not a big deal. Yes, it's illogical, but it's their first show. Calm the fuck down. Jake Hager, he was there. He was asked, Tony Khan, about Jake Hager. He says this, and I quote, "You know what's pretty cool about secret keeping is that Jake's been signed for a really long time," Khan said. "Jake's been signed to us for a really long time now. Jake can clearly keep a secret, and so can we. For quite a while now, Jake was signed. It's something we've been planning for. He moved his camp to accommodate this, but he's also still in training and has a good schedule with that. The AEW schedule with Wednesdays allows him to make Wednesday the day off so he can train Friday to Tuesday, and that's what Jake is doing right now. Jake's a machine. At the end, he got a great reaction, and for him to come on in, he's different from a lot of high-flying wrestlers that we have right now. He's a powerhouse. He came in, and he's really exciting." So that's that. I like the way Tony Khan let everybody kind of know that, yes, we have a lot of guys that do a lot of the same things, the high-flying acrobatics and all this. We got a great roster, very athletic roster, but who do they really have that is that legit, that is a ground-based performer, that is really a big powerhouse? I like that role for him. Like I said, if he plays Jericho's heavy, if he plays Jericho's enforcer and muscle, he'll be fine. I could see him in a match with Omega. I could see him in a match with Paige. I could see him in a match that is along the lines of more ground-based and more power style, more big, impactful moves. It's a nice deviation away from what you already associate this show with being. A lot of people are like, oh, it's nothing but flips and dives and this and that. Yes, Jake Hager's not the most exciting individual to have on your roster, but he's legit. And at the end of the day, he's going to bring a sense of legitimacy to the show. It might not be your cup of tea. He might not be the most exciting guy in the world, but he's a legitimate guy. And WWE fucked him. I don't see AEW going the same route as WWE. I really don't. I think they're going to use him a little bit more to his strengths here, where WWE didn't know how to use him at all. They didn't. They looked at him as a guy with a lisp, and that was it. They didn't really give him anything of substance there to really go out there and show us what he can do. I think he's going to be able to do that in AEW. So, I don't find him to be exciting, but I'm not writing him off whatsoever. I want to see what they do with him. Tony Khan gave a nice explanation as to why they brought him in, and the fact that he was on their radar, and they signed him immediately, and they kept it a secret. Very difficult thing to do nowadays with all the dirt sheets and the fucking insiders and the wannabe insiders. It's a really, really great thing that this was kept secret, because look at the reaction it got on social media. Look at the reaction it got in the audience. You might not have been happy with it, but it was a genuine surprise, and it made for a great moment on a debut episode to help the heels go over the baby faces. So I enjoyed it. We'll see what happens with Jake Hager. He signed to AEW. Chris Jericho teamed up with Ortiz and Santana in that main event to take on Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks after Jon Moxley took out Omega. DDT through the glass table. And I love that spot. Jake Hager's big surprise came after Jericho scored the pinfall and solidified a new stable of heels. Tony Khan hinted that this will be a stable during the media scrum after Dynamite last week, but now PW Insider has more to report. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz, they will be a stable going forward, and they will indeed feud with the Elite. It appears this new stable of 5 heels will be taking on the Elite, which is typically the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Adam Hangman Page. We don't know what's going on with a 5th member. We got Matt, Nick, Kenny, and Adam. Maybe, I'm just throwing a fucking dart at the wall here. Maybe, Marty Scurll is that 5th guy. Marty Scurll, I would say, because this right now is uneven. You got Jake Hager, you got Santana, you got Ortiz, you got Jericho, and you got Sammy Guevara. There's only 4 people in the Elite right now. Cody, he's not going to be a part of the stable. He's not going to be part of this. Cody is going to be feuding, I think, with Jericho and then off to do his own thing. He's going to be feuding with MJF. That's the direction of where they're going. So Jericho is going to be out of this thing. But if they really want to make an impact and they really want to have a surprise, I think Marty Scurll is going to be the 5th guy, not Cody. So Marty Scurll is going to come on into AEW. I think he's going to join AEW after his Ring of Honor contract is over, and that is over in November. And I think he's coming on into AEW, and he's going to be the 5th man to even things out in this entire situation. It's going to be a battle for supremacy on Dynamite, and I think it's great. So you can have Jericho and Page, you can have Sammy and Omega, you could have Jake Hager and Marty Scurll, and then you can have LAX versus the Young Bucks, and flip-flop some of them. It could be Scurll and Jericho, you know? It seems like a good deal. It seems like a fun situation that they got brewing right now. And the fact that they really gave you that vibe of like, yes, this is our show at the end of last week's Dynamite, really gave you that nice cliffhanger going on into next week. So I enjoyed it. I really did. And I expect to see Marty Scurll in the Elite going to battle with Jericho's new stable. That's my prediction on Dynamite. And we will see Marty Scurll on AEW Dynamite come November, when his contract is up with Ring of Honor. One of my favorite things about AEW Dynamite last Wednesday, and I can't wait to hear him again this Wednesday, is the fact that Tony Schiavone is behind the commentary desk. He's in front of that desk with JR and Excalibur. Now, it was a weak spot with AEW and their commentary team. It went from JR, Marvez, and Excalibur. Golden Boy stepped in. He did a fantastic job at Fyter Fest, and he is going to be there for Full Gear in November because Tony Schiavone has other obligations to take care of. But it was when Tony Schiavone got signed, everybody was asking Cody, is Tony going to be behind the commentary desk? Is he going to be doing commentary on TNT? And they kind of teased it, and they kind of dropped hints, and they were dancing around. And you know that everybody that works there has this old school mentality. They're not going to tell you what's going on. And then when we seen Dynamite and we heard Tony Schiavone's voice, it was just a great feeling. It was one of their weak spots. Adding Tony gives them a great feel. I don't mean any disrespect towards JR, but when you look at JR, and especially on Wednesday when he was standing next to Tony Schiavone, the sheer difference in both of them. JR is a little bit older, and JR has been through a lot. But when you look at JR, he doesn't really emit a lot of excitement. You know, he seems very down. He seems almost downright depressing. He's still got a great voice. He still has that voice that when you hear him, you know it's legitimate. You know it's Jim Ross. But with Tony Schiavone, he was standing there. He was so excited to be there. He was so vibrant. He was so enthusiastic. He was all over the place. And hearing him just within 15 minutes, I even said it on Twitter, within 15 minutes, Tony Schiavone gave us all the reason in the world that he needs to be the voice of AEW Dynamite. And I know JR is incredibly valuable to this company. JR, to me, is more valuable by using his brain and using his knowledge just based on literally everything he's done with WWE and through all the years he's been in the pro wrestling business. Tony can handle the commentary. I feel that Jim Ross is a little bit more valuable behind the scenes doing the talent relations or creative. I think that's where he's going to shine most. But either way you look at it, it was, I think, a massive improvement over what we've seen their commentary team, start out as, and now we're here, and now we got Tony Schiavone on TNT. It's great. But like I said, Schiavone's not going to be at full gear. He's not going to be at full gear. Now we got Golden Boy, Jim Ross, and Excalibur doing the commentary on the next pay-per-view. Golden Boy will be filling in for Tony Schiavone during the Full Gear pay-per-view. We've heard them at Fyter Fest. They did a great job. And Tony Schiavone, we kind of knew this going in that he wasn't going to be around. But as long as he's there on Wednesday, as many times we can get him, when he's not doing AAA baseball for the Braves, when he's not doing college football, I'm fine with that. I really am fine with that. They are very lucky that they have someone like that who is still at the top of his game doing this. And it's a blessing. It really is. So as long as they have him, for as many times as they have him, for as long as they have him, I consider that a great blessing. Because a good commentary team is incredibly difficult to find nowadays. And they got it. They got Tony Schiavone. I think that is a huge get for AEW. So he's not going to be a full gear. Just letting you guys know it's going to be Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Golden Boy. They will be doing the commentary for Full Gear in November. Now, I'm excited about the tag team title tournament. I really am. I have pictures of the new AEW Tag Team Championships. These things, now, I've seen some people online talking about them, and I've seen some people picking apart the photos that they're a little obnoxious. There's too many side plates. I got this picture here that I'm going to throw up for you guys. Let me know what you think of this new AEW Tag Team Championship title design. I think it looks great. And when you got the other titles in pro wrestling to compare it to, you look at WWE's tag team titles, there's not even a comparison. WWE, honestly, I wish, and I know that they can't because I think it has something to do with copyrighted reasons or trademarked reasons. They can't go back to the old school 1990s version of their tag team championships. The ones that Demolition held and the one that Legion of Doom held and Money Incorporated and the Hart Foundation. I love those tag team championships. They were the best tag team championship design that company has ever seen. And the Revival, they were teasing way back when they tried to be a little bit more relevant on WWE TV. They tried to institute saying that when we win the tag team championships, we're bringing back the old school WWE Tag Team Championships. Obviously, that never happened, and like I said, it will never happen. So when you got WWE to compare the AEW championships to, tag team championships, it's night and day. You can't even do that. NXT has great-looking tag team championships. New Japan has great-looking tag team championships. House of Glory has decent-looking tag team championships. We could use an update in that as well. We're getting a new World Championship, and we got a new Crown Jewel Championship. Now we're going to work on the tag team championships. But I love the new design. I really do. It's very modern, yet very old school at the same time. And these are the titles that are going to be on the line starting Wednesday. The tournament begins. And there's no better way to start it than the Young Bucks versus Private Party. So as you guys see in the pictures, it's Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. They were shown holding off the tag team championships during the first episode of Dynamite. This was a photo shoot before the show went on the air. And no, they are not the new tag team champions. Don't worry. This is something WWE would do, not Tony Khan. So thanks to Belt Fan Dan, and we can thank him for having a closer look at the new AEW Tag Team Championships. Like I said, it's a take on the old school and new school. I think it blends perfectly. They are gorgeous. And to whoever wins the tournament, this is what awaits you. So I'm going with Jurassic Express. I'm going with Luchasaurus. And I'm going with Jungle Boy to be the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. So there you go. Speaking of championships, Matt Jackson gives the real reason why Chris Jericho won the AEW World Championship. You know it. I know it. Everybody on social media was asking. Baron Corbin even got involved and trolled people on Instagram. Well, when WWE does it, we always get shit on. And look at them doing it, and everybody seems to think it's a good idea. That's because it is a good idea. You're comparing the WWE that is already established to a company that didn't even have their first show until Wednesday. When Jericho won the championship, they had not 1 week of television. Not one. So what are you comparing? What are you comparing? You're comparing WWE doing what they usually do best, giving their world championships to part-timers. They gave it to Goldberg. They gave it to Lesnar. They gave it to Lesnar. They gave it to Lesnar. Right? So now we got Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar potentially at Crown Jewel on Halloween, the scariest night of the fucking year, for the WWE Championship. But you're okay with that. Yet people are criticizing AEW by giving Jericho their world championship and crowning him the first ever AEW world champion. With the whole belt gone missing, with the whole bubbly situation, and the fact that Jericho can turn fucking chicken shit into chicken salad. Gourmet chicken salad. That's why they gave him the championship. There is no better man to give that honor to than Chris Jericho. You're comparing a goddamn fucking legend. There is only one Chris. There will never ever be another Chris Jericho. Ever. Look at what he's done. Look at the awareness he has brought the brand. Look at the legitimacy just based off who he is and what he's established for himself. Look at the legitimacy that he's already brought in. Not only the championship, but the company. He is a figurehead of that company where you put him at the top and people are going to know it's a legit brand. And that's going to make people think, you know what? Jericho's over there. I'm going to go over there as well. They didn't give it to Adam Hangman Page for those reasons. For every reason I just mentioned, that one is the most important of all the reasons. And you need a face that people are going to recognize. TNT has not had wrestling in a very, very, very long time. And those people, more than likely, are not watching wrestling anymore. They're not watching WWE. I wish I wasn't even watching WWE. In fact, if I didn't have this fucking channel, I would not watch anything main roster related. I wouldn't. I'd watch NXT and NXT only. Those people have probably not watched wrestling in a very long time. And when they see Chris Jericho and they're flipping through the channel, oh, honey, wrestling is back on TNT. Look, it's Chris Jericho. What is he doing? What is this? Who is he in the ring with? He's their world champion. This has got to be legit. When you're flipping the channel and you look at Adam Hangman Page holding the AEW World Championship, what are you going to do? You're going to look. I don't know him. I'm not invested in him. I'm going to go and look at what Cupcake Wars is doing on the Food Network. Or I'm going to look at the fucking Rangers lose another fucking hockey game because they suck cock. You know? What are you looking at? You're not going to be invested in that. But Chris Jericho, you see Chris Jericho on television, now with his new stable, his new posse, holding the world championship, you're going to stop and be like, whoa, what's going on here? Chris Jericho is on TV. What is he doing? That's why they gave it to him. He brings a sense and a level of legitimacy to not only the championship, but AEW. And Matt Jackson had to give you, the public, the real reason, because people were asking. What is there to ask? I don't understand how this is so difficult for people to comprehend. Matt Jackson recently told the New York Post that AEW wanted somebody with an identity. There didn't seem to be a better name than Chris Jericho, seeing how he has decades of history in pro wrestling, where he is continually changing his own identity. He says this, and I quote, "We felt like if we want someone to be the identity of this company, it's going to be the most famous guy who everyone knows, and that's Chris Jericho, who just so happens to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time." End quote. Simple, folks. Simple. So for all the detractors and all the haters out there, why don't you use your brain and take your fingers away from the keyboard, because what you're saying, what you're thinking, and what is translating via your fingers is a bunch of bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. If you actually took a step back and thought and actually used your brain, you would have come to this conclusion where Matt Jackson didn't have to go out there publicly and state, this is why we gave Jericho the world championship. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. AEW Dynamite, for my UK boys out there, my UK boys and girls out there. How can you watch Dynamite? Well, you have a couple of options. You can do the Fight TV app and go through the AEW Plus extension, where you can pay $2.99 per episode or $4.99 to subscribe per month, and you get the shows live, which some people told me is commercial free via the Fight Network or the Fight TV app. I don't know if that's legit or not, but some people were telling me that it's commercial free. Now, some people were telling me that it's a little awkward and the sound is off and it might not be as crisp and clean as it would be on TNT here in the States. Whatever the case may be. You guys get AEW, that's one way of getting AEW. There was outrage over the UK schedule with AEW. Tony Khan said that there was going to be a resolution. Tony Khan is not in this business. Tony Khan didn't start AEW to piss people off upon launch. If Tony Khan says that there's going to be a resolution, there is going to be a quick resolution, because he knows how important all of this is to you. They got a new schedule in the UK after fan backlash. Dynamite will air for America and Canada. They got a new deal, I believe, with TSN, if I'm not mistaken. So they are in Canada. Now, those fans will get to watch live here in America, obviously, and in Canada. They will get to watch live, but Fight TV is available for all other fans who want to watch the show as it's live, like I said, via the AEW Plus extension. Fans in the United Kingdom weren't very happy about the original air date on ITV, and they did not want to wait what was going to be 4 days, and their voices were heard, and Tony heard you. Mr. Khan heard you. Now, ITV has changed things around due to the huge fan demand about AEW. ITV revealed a new schedule for AEW Dynamite. Now, ITV will air the full All Elite Wrestling Dynamite programs at 7 p.m. the next day. It's on a 1-day delay. So you guys last week, you watched it not on the 2nd, but on the 3rd, starting at 7 p.m. So you guys this week are going to watch it not on Wednesday, but on Thursday, 7 p.m. your time. 1-day delay, but it beats 4 days, because that was going to interfere eventually with their pay-per-views. You don't want to watch a go-home show on Sunday when the pay-per-view is happening on Saturday. It would make absolutely no sense. So new episodes will air on Thursday. The new episode will also be shown on ITV4 at 11:20 p.m. on Fridays and 8:20 a.m. on Sundays. AEW will also get a 1-hour highlight show on, it actually happened yesterday. On the 7th at 11:45 p.m. on ITV. So that is the new schedule for you guys. Fan demand forced Tony Khan to really make a quick resolution for this. And like I said, Fight TV's AEW Premium Plus, it's $4.99, very reasonable. And if you guys are that invested, $5 a month is not going to break the bank. We pay $9.99 here for the WWE Network. You guys do the same thing. It's worth every bit of your money, because even though the product sucks, there is so much quality content there that it's almost a steal. So I don't know why people are canceling the WWE Network. Even though Hell in a Cell was complete garbage, I would not go out and cancel my WWE Network. I value my takeovers too much, man. Why would I do that? I value my library too much, the old school pay-per-views. But that is what you guys got going on. So I hope everybody is now happy and content, and we can all live in peace and harmony and watch AEW and hopefully watch them grow into something that could rival Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Finally, guys, Cody wants to buy. Now, I know this is not happening. I don't think this could even be a reality ever. Cody reveals AEW wants to buy the War Games gimmick from WWE. Now, ahead of last week's show, Cody actually spoke to the media. And he was on a conference call, and I was not a part of that conference call. I heard it via Sean Ross Sapp and Feifel. On the call, Cody said he owns Bunkhouse Stampede and Battle Bowl, old WCW match concepts. He said that he might consider using them in the future for WWE, for AEW. I'm surprised WWE has not really trademarked those concepts because Vince really shuns those types of concepts. If they're not a WWE created concept, he don't really use it. He don't care. I've been wanting badly for WWE to drastically change the pay-per-view calendar. I would love for them to incorporate some old WCW themed pay-per-views into their pay-per-view calendar. I would love to see the Great American Bash or Bash at the Beach. WWE did have their own version of the Great American Bash, and they just labeled it the Bash. They took out the Great American and just left the Bash. I would love to see a Bash at the Beach. That's what I would love to do. And I think I heard Cody at one point in time mention that they want to do themed shows like that. They want to do destination-like shows that have that specific scenery that gives you that old school nostalgic vibe of what WCW used to do back in the day. I loved Bash at the Beach was one of my favorite set designs ever. It was so simple. Sand, a few umbrellas, a few beach chairs, maybe a little kiddie pool, something to give it its own identity. Nowadays, we don't get any of these shows having their own identity. They all look the same. It's as if you're watching Monday Night Raw on Sunday night with the main roster shows. Nothing has changed. Nothing changes. Bash at the Beach. Great American Bash. I'd love to see, I mentioned this time and time again, I'd love to see WWE get rid of Hell in a Cell and give us Halloween Havoc in October. We're getting a Halloween Havoc. Not really, but on Halloween, we're getting Crown Jewel, which is going to be the most terrifying night of the year. Because God knows what's going to emerge from that show over in Jeddah. I'd love to see Halloween Havoc back. Kenny Omega's actually teased that they're going to do a Halloween-themed episode on Wednesday, the 30th. Because I think Halloween falls on a Thursday or Friday. One of those days. I don't know. But we got Halloween Havoc. I'd love to see WWE bring back Starrcade and not do it as a fucking house show that's going to be translated into a 1-hour special on the WWE Network. I'd love to see them bring Starrcade back and make it a legit event. Really. I'd love to see. This is the way I think. You got the Royal Rumble, you got WrestleMania, you got King of the Ring, you got SummerSlam, and then you got Starrcade at the end of the year to just close everything out. Royal Rumble starts, Starrcade ends, and everything in between. I don't get it. It's so simple. And Vince won't use those concepts because even though he owns most of the likeness from WCW, he won't use it because it's not his concept. He didn't create it. So he won't use it. He'll shit on it. And he'll leave it hidden. And he'll use it when he wants to, when he wants to make a quick buck off of it. But Cody owns Battle Bowl. He owns Bunkhouse Stampede. I don't know how those names and those concepts could be resurrected and made into a modern 2020 version. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Speaking of the old WCW match types, Cody said that he might consider buying War Games from WWE. Who's to say that WWE is even going to listen to Cody Rhodes? WWE currently uses the gimmick for NXT, and it happens every Survivor Series weekend at TakeOver War Games. It's been happening the last 2 years, and I think it goes perfectly with the entire theme of the Survivor Series weekend. WWE has their Survivor Series, which really isn't a series anymore. Survivor Series used to be a series of 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, depending on what year you watched, elimination-style matches. And War Games needed their own version of that themed weekend, and War Games fit perfectly into that month and into what TakeOver does. I think it's great. We don't really have themed takeovers. That's the first themed takeover that has remained consistent for the last couple of years. Cody told the media that he loves the type of match that War Games is, and said that WWE doesn't do it quite as well as WCW did back in the day. That's kind of unfair. That really is unfair. The last 2 War Games matches that we've had in NXT were fucking great. Especially last year's. That shit was fucking brutal. I enjoyed every minute of that 45 minutes. And the Undisputed Era have kind of made it their own. I love that. So it's kind of unfair for Cody to say that because he knows. He's just being a hard ass. He knows for a fact that those first 2 War Games matches that were reintroduced to WWE and NXT have been really great matches. Now, Cody also said that while the idea was his father's, he doesn't just want to steal all of his dad's concepts. While Cody might approach WWE about buying the match, WWE is never going to accept his request about buying War Games. So, you see where Cody's vision is. He definitely wants to pay homage to what his father did. And everything that he does is thinking about his father, which is great. I sensed, and everybody sensed, Dusty in that match with Dustin and Cody. Everybody. That was for Dusty. And Dusty, imagine Dusty being around today, how proud he would be of Cody. I know he wants to pay homage to his father, but his father's always going to be looking down on him. It's more about succeeding. I think Dusty would be more proud than anything if he just remains true to what he believes in and gets this company to where it needs to be and succeeds. He doesn't need to take a gimmick from what his father created. He doesn't need to take a concept that his father brought to the table in WCW and reintroduce it here in AEW. His father is just happy, I'm sure, wherever he is, looking down at Cody succeeding and doing what he was put on this earth to do. That's it. I would love if one of these old concepts came back. I'd love if Battle Bowl came back. I think that would be great. It would be very interesting to see what they could do to reintroduce and reinvigorate and change that concept to fit the modern style of what we're seeing now. You know? We'll see what happens. But Tony Khan's already said that they have ideas for themed pay-per-views going on into 2020. And when they get comfortable and when things start flowing and we start seeing weekly television just develop week to week to week, there are going to be theme shows. There are going to be situations where they go extreme. There are going to be situations where they do things once a year. I love it. And it's very exciting. AEW, man. If you're not getting behind AEW and you're one of these people that is like, oh, I'm pro WWE, fuck AEW. I understand that, you can't really be a fan of the Giants and the Jets. I find that to be ridiculous. You're either a fan of the Jets or you're a fan of the Giants. I understand the fact that everybody thinks this is like, oh, I'm picking sides. It's not like that. These are not sports teams. It's pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling. If one succeeds, the other succeeds. If one does bad, the other does bad. And the whole industry does bad. So I don't know why you would make it about, oh, AEW sucks. Fuck them. I'm pro WWE. Why? I don't understand that mentality. I really don't. If you don't like it, great. Don't watch. But never wish them to fail. Never wish them to close their doors. You know what that would do for the industry? After everything that we've seen? Not really the mentality one should have, man, really. So, Cody, he's got my support. He's got everybody's support. I can't wait for tomorrow night. It's great to be excited about pro wrestling. And I love that AEW is just bringing back that excitement and that feel of, man, I can't wait for next week. After that show ended last week, it's the first thing I told my buddy Jess, I can't wait for next week. When has Monday Night Raw left you feeling that way? I can't even remember. But we got that with AEW. It's the most important thing for me, man. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up. And if you missed any of the other content that I uploaded on the channel, including this weekend's podcast, Hell in a Cell review, Monday Night Raw from last night, make sure you guys go and check all that out. Linked down below in the description. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Follow me on social media as well. JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. And I will see you guys right back here for AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night. Until then, guys, have a great Tuesday. And I'll see you right back here for Dynamite on TNT.